right, welcome in. Today we're doing something a little different. This is our Dallas episode. I'm Colin Beneke,
And I'm Nikki Sullivan.
and we're both part of the Helpside team here in Dallas. And since this is a newer market for us, we thought it'd be fun to just sit down and talk through how we got here, why we joined Helpside, and what it's been like getting things off the ground in a new city. Helpside's been established in Utah, Idaho, Arizona, and Wyoming, but Dallas is a whole new chapter for us. So this is really just a conversation about our backgrounds, what stood out to us about the company, and what we are seeing so far in the market.
Alrighty, so Colin, who are you? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, happily. Colin Beneke. I was originally born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. I lived in Minneapolis shortly after my 25th birthday and lived in Minneapolis up until May of 2025. I spent 7 years with the company up there before moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area last May, and had been with Insperity previously to my time here at Helpside for just about 7 years in the PEO sales role. So, Nikki, Dallas is home. What do you love about it, or what surprised you the most?
Yeah, so I'm also from the Midwest. I've been in Texas since honestly the last 14 years. I think the DFW area to me, what's most thrilling is it's ever evolving. So the growth mode here in Texas, but let alone DFW is massive. Not only for, personal, you can get out and have all this fun, but business wise, there are a ton of organizations and businesses who have moved their headquarters to the DFW market because there's more opportunities. Alrighty. So, Colin, you said that you've been in PEO sales for a little bit. How did you first get into sales?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question. I kind of fell into it. But something that was fun for me just growing up is my dad was in sales. And I really got into it just based on going on trips with him across the company to help him for work. I was always just fascinated by the way he connected with people, and he really helped companies grow by his group of connections. He was that older gentleman that always said, "Hey, I got a guy, and oh, you need to talk to this guy." So he always told me that every person you meet in life is an opportunity to help someone else, and I've never forgotten that. And it helps me think of when I go through my personal business or personal friendships, how can I always be trying to connect others that are either like-minded or potentially can help each other in the future.
So, was this always the plan? Was sales always the plan for you?
Um, I don't think so, but my personality made it a pretty easy transition. I went to college for business administration, so this ultimately seemed like the best place for me to fall into and use my skills and personality to really connect with people and sell a great product. Nikki, what has been your most defining moment in your career so far?
I would echo what you have mentioned. So, making a transition to Helpside, you kind of touched on it. They're an existing company, 35 years behind them, but new to the Texas market. And I think there's something very thrilling and exciting about being part of something from the ground up. We get to kind of experience the ins and ahs, the ins and outs and the ahs that go along with the growth mode that's expected and how we're going to develop. So, not just that, but the people that we have gotten to interact with Helpside are incredible people. Their tenure is amazing. These are individuals who have been with the company for 15, 20 years, and it shows. So I think I'm in it right now. I think I'm in the moment that is the career moment for me. Speaking of, so Colin, how did you come over to Helpside? Like, how did you learn about Helpside?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I hadn't been in the Dallas market long. Dallas Fort Worth. I actually just had my 1 year anniversary on Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. But actually, Helpside found me. Um, as I'd mentioned, and as you know, Nikki, we were both at Insperity and very happy. Great company that I worked for a very long time. And a recruiter reached out. And as I got further and further into the conversations with the different levels of management, whether it was on the service side, the sales side, or getting an actual opportunity to speak with Richard, um, the culture and the leadership, you could kind of feel it oozing out of everybody I talked to, and they were all really excited about the path that Helpside was about to go on. And then just being into the new market and bringing a new brand, I thought that would be a fantastic opportunity for myself and potentially a lot of growth. Coming to a smaller company with high growth goals, there could be some opportunities for leadership across the country, and that really excited me into help building this brand and coming over to Helpside. Nikki, what stood out to you compared to the other opportunities?
I think from my very first impression and interaction with Helpside, which was one of their newer employees, but also the sales manager, Mike. So he himself was very easy to talk to, very much strategic in conversation. Um, and throughout ongoing conversations, like everything he said was really appealing to me. But even to this day, I still have interactions daily with people that I'm like so impressed with. The
Hmm.
people, the strategy, the let's find a solution mentality is exciting. I've just been thrilled with every interaction I've had.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree.
So, with all that being said, what made you say, yes, this is a place I want to be?
Yeah, I think the competitive landscape of just being in PEO, as you and I know, for how long we've been in it, I really didn't have any intentions of ultimately staying or going to a new PEO. I wanted to try something different, but really understanding Richard's leadership, where the company was wanting to go, how they believe in themselves and their people, as potentially being one of the best and fastest growing PEOs in the market. It was extremely exciting. But then in talking with leadership and finding out that through their vision, values, and their culture is a lot of similarities between how I perceive myself and ultimately the products that I'm selling, but also from a personality standpoint, leadership hit a lot of the boxes. And when you work for a company that I would say is a little bit smaller, but they're delivering on their promises to clients, it really makes you feel good as a sales rep that, like, hey, client comes first. Let's make sure we find a solution for them. And with them being around for 35 years, this isn't their first rodeo. They're not just a PEO that kind of came out of nowhere. They have years of experience in doing this, and they just want to grow their brand across the 50 states rather than the four they were primarily in. So that was very attractive to me. And when they did an audit on their book of business, and roughly 70+% came from referrals, I think that story in there tells a lot that business owners that use Helpside refer Helpside. And it reminded me a lot of the DNA of Insperity, and it kind of made it a no-brainer when um, the offer came through that this is the next place for me. So since this is a smaller company and coming into the Texas market, what were expectations coming in, and what's been different so far for you, Nikki?
So I assume you would agree with this. They've been by they leadership has been fully transparent from first conversation on where they are established versus their growth mentality. Breaking into not just a new market but a new state
Hmm.
has roadblocks, right? So we are already having these strategic conversations and finding solutions and just thinking outside the box. I don't think that anything has blindsided me in regards to our capabilities. I think that, again, leadership has been very honest about what we can do, what we can achieve, and how we can roll out new clients. Um, and with that being said, I will say that we have found a path forward with every little hiccup. They have put their heads together, they have brainstormed, and they have rolled out solutions for all of these prospective clients to achieve what they're looking for in a PEO.
Yeah, I would agree. And then just the leveraging technology and AI and building systems in place to get a lot of roadblocks out of our way to make the client experience or prospect experience in our sales process very tight, efficient, and effective has really been a big difference just from where we previously came from.
Yeah, they don't say no a lot, do they? They figure it out. They figure out a solution that fits both us. as a company. It's been exciting being able to be a part of these new strategies and what we're allowing into a new market. So with all of that, which kind of ties into some of the stuff we've touched on, um, the culture. How would you describe the overall culture day in and day out of the new organization?
Well, I think it's been fantastic. And again, a lot of this comes more from a personal reason for me. I lost my father in 2021, and he was a big influence on one, my sales background, but also me being a hunter and outdoorsman. And just in speaking with Mike, and they're being based in Utah and Arizona, Wyoming and Idaho, like those are states that I would love the opportunity to go out and hunt and explore. So I've always had a really good experience rubbing shoulders with those types of people. Again, whether it's just personally or professionally, kind of the salt of the earth. And that was immediately radiated from our time out there in Salt Lake and their willingness to spend time with us. And not only that, but then hire just quality talent from other PEOs that says like, hey, we're not just putting together like a team, like we're trying to put together the Avengers here. We want to make sure that when a prospect is looking to understand how a PEO can help their business, do we have the subject matter experts on those calls to make it a really easy fit for them, but then also onboard them very quickly as well. So again, I think the culture's just been fantastic. To how you mentioned earlier, their tenure inside the service, I think, really tells a lot. Um, and their way that they want to get answers resolved for clients, so they can get back to work and focus on revenue generating tasks, is ultimately why you work with a PEO. It's not to go call a call center, and we do not have that DNA. We say, hey, we want to get you an answer ASAP, get you back to work, make sure you're compliant, and get you off the phone.
I've been so impressed with the service that is rolled out to these new clients. The actual people strategy that touches
Mm-hmm.
every call in or question has been very refreshing.
So, coming into a new organization, breaking into a new territory, what has your first few weeks and months looked like?
It's been very positive. I think, some of these cold calls that are unraveling, there are people that objective is never heard of this company, but there's
Mhm.
also a lot of people that are willing to learn, um, because there are some big players, right? There's ADP, Insperity, those are big names in Texas, but there are also these organizations that are smaller groups, family size, that want a different service model and are open to learning about different benefit strategies. So I would say overall it's gone fairly well. We're meeting, I think you are as well, meeting with new prospective clients day in and day out. Um, Even if it's a, hey, not interested, the willingness to learn about Helpside and potentially pass along a referral or a reference has been overwhelming, in all the best ways. So Helpside has been strong in Utah, Idaho, Arizona, and Wyoming. What is different, or do you want to be different about the Dallas market?
Yeah, and I again only being here for a year, there's a lot about the Dallas market that I don't know. So what I want to be different is, again, we're driving results for our clients. We're giving them a taste of what the other larger PEOs might not be. And what I mean by that is, some PEOs we run up against who you have to have all or nothing, where Helpside is a little bit more boutique, where, hey, if you're not using that today, that's totally fine. We're going to go ahead and either carve that out or, hey, we're going to work with your broker. That's a relationship that's been important to your business for X amount of years. We don't want to ruin that. We want to bring your broker along and make sure it's a great fit for Mr. or Mrs. business owner, ourselves here at Helpside, but also that broker. And what they're trying to do is ultimately lower costs, get creative with healthcare. And here at Helpside, we have a great way to do that with our solution. So I guess in short, what I want to do is help build a brand that is recognizable. It's unforgettable on how we help small business and breathes an opportunity for future referrals, just like what Helpside's done over the last 35 years. We just do it in a different state.
Yeah, I love it. I would echo everything you just said. Stamp of approval.
So, Nikki, being in the Dallas expansion conversation, what opportunities do you see just in this market for us or Helpside?
I think piggybacking off of everything you just referenced is really exciting. Texas is the backyard to some well known PEOs. But again, organizations are open to new conversations and strategies. The last couple years in the benefit world, it's been brutal. There's been a turn in what benefits look like for organizations, and there's not always an explanation. With us and what I've seen while I've been employed here, we want to be a best fit. And when we're talking to these organizations, if we hit some kind of roadblock where there is something more suitable for them, to your point, we can carve it out and bring in that piece of the pie that is going to suit them better. So I think it's really exciting that we have these opportunities to kind of create the solution versus, hey, we're going to fit you in this box.
Hmm.
And I think it's just a matter of time before our name is out there as well. So with all that being said, what challenges do you think can come about with launching in a new city like Dallas Fort Worth?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like the challenges are, there's three of us in Dallas Fort Worth. There's a couple reps in Austin. There's a couple reps in San Antonio and Houston. Just making sure we're on the same page, and ultimately the integrity of this company and its leadership is reflected on how we take prospects through the proposal process, their onboarding, and making sure we listen to kind of the key things that they're looking for in a relationship with a PEO like Helpside. The other challenges are ultimately just trying to figure out where's the best place and best places, should I say, to really spend our time. And with Dallas Fort Worth being such a big metro, and us ultimately working remote, we have to be very strategic on how we leverage our days. Because, of course, we only have 8 to 5, and then we have events after that. So, where are we intentional with our time, the people we're meeting with, the brokers that we're having partnership conversations with? We don't have a budget like previous or some of these larger PEOs out there. So I think just being really intentional and strategic where we're spending that time and money will be key. And then allowing our service team to deliver on the promise of, hey, we want to make sure businesses are compliant. We're giving them great resources and we're allowing their businesses to grow. Because as we know, as businesses do better, so do the communities. And Dallas Fort Worth is absolutely growing at an astronomical rate. And I think Helpside is going to help generate a lot of future movement in this market. From your perspective, Nikki, why is this expansion important for the company?
I think the expansion goals and the growth are really exciting. And I also think that, Texas is a massive market. So, in my opinion, it's a missed opportunity for organizations that have the capacity to be operating in Texas to not be. So, a lot of businesses, we kind of talked about it and touched on it, moved to the Dallas area for their headquarters during COVID. And I think that there is just so much scalability here. You can find every industry possible located just in the DFW market. Um, some entire states fit in just the metro area here. That's how big it is. So I just think not operating in Texas would be a massive missed opportunity with all of the potential interest just sitting there. We just have to get them on the phone or in a conversation. So, if you were to fast forward a year from now, what do you think the success of the Dallas team looks like?
Um, well, I would say as a rep, I want it to continue to be a strong core group. I do believe we have that with you, myself, and Lori. I think success after a year is, we all hit our goals from a sales standpoint. But then ultimately, those clients are starting to refer business to us because they've gotten to know us. They trust us. We deliver on what we say we're going to deliver on. And leading into a year or two, I think, hopefully looking to hit the same goals or even increase them. Really depends on what the clients and how comfortable they are referring us. But I think just getting more of a brand and some really good and kind of networking groups and private equity groups, with all the money that is waiting to be spent on business acquisition or growth of companies. I want to be in the position to where they're like, oh, yep, we use Helpside. Our next 5 acquisitions are going to go underneath Helpside for their protection standpoint, and that they're very happy to refer us into those businesses and trust us on what we say we're going to do.
That's the dream.
So as we wrap up, Nikki, what are you most excited about in the next 6 to 12 months?
I think it's really simple and straightforward. Our overall growth and our wins as a company, but also just seeing individually, and I'll include all of Texas, all of our Texas teammates, just seeing where everybody land in their achievements. I think um, everyone hit the ground running. Everyone's already having really like promising and healthy conversations with these business owners, and I can just feel the excitement. I can see the wins coming. I think the next 6 to 12 months, we have some lofty goals, and I think we're going to be above the benchmark there.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, if someone in Dallas is considering working with Helpside, what would you tell them?
That's a great question. Um, and I think we've kind of talked a lot about it, but I think how this company wants to be different. And again, we're not just hiring, um, people out of college to be PEO sales reps because it is a very complex sale. There's a lot to it. Um, Regulations from federal, state, city, and county are always changing. But then also to really just support sales reps. I mean, we have our own BDR teams, like people who are actually filling the funnel for us, and having great conversations with these business owners at the time when they're ready to have them. I think is just huge for us and allows us to work extremely efficiently, in the conversations we're having. And then again, they're always coming back to how can we make this process easier. So it's a very forward thinking leadership group. They don't say no often. They say, yes, let's make it happen. How can we get it done? What does the client need to move forward? And so always being focused on that, I think, is extremely impactful. But then they look at us and we're senior advisors or senior business consultants, and we've been in this space for a long time. So they understand that the market has changed, even though we're new to help side. They trust a lot of the guidance and what we've seen work really well at our previous companies, and they're wanting to deploy that to us so we can be more successful. So, what I would tell them is have a conversation, be very thorough, but I think you're going to be pretty surprised as you go through these conversations, and pretty elated if you end up joining Helpside on what a great company it is.
Well said. And if you're in the Dallas area and curious about Helpside, whether that's working here or working with us, we'd love to connect with you. We appreciate you taking the time to listen, and we'll see where this goes as things keep growing out from here.